we've invested in everything from surgical centers, imaging centers, pharmaceutical, and vitamin hospice. Currently, we're the largest owner and operator of freestanding ERs, emergency rooms, in the state of Texas. We own 27 freestanding ERs, 2 micro hospitals, and an urgent care, and we're expanding in that area. And then on the ZT Automotive side, we are in 3 states. We're in Florida, we are in Georgia, and we are in Texas. We own 12 auto brands: Mercedes, BMW, Toyota, Mazda.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Chris Feia, Director of Private Equity at ZT Corporate. Chris, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I am good, thank you. I am good. Appreciate you spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about ZT Corporate.
Sure. So, I grew up in California, born and raised, attended UCLA, got a degree in communication studies. Always been fascinated with finance ever since 16. I guess I opened my first TD Ameritrade account, which was just Ameritrade back then. Following college, I went into a family office where we focused on real estate, private equity, venture capital. And through that, there was a course of, financial, careers at BNY Mellon and different financial institutions, which led me to ZT Corporate. ZT Corporate is a boutique private equity firm that is located in Houston, Texas. Okay. And I run California, Los Angeles office. Coast to coast, we have offices in Dallas and New York as well. And we focus on 2 spaces. So we focus on the healthcare sector and the automotive sector. So that's really where we focus. We're very narrow and deep in both those.
Excellent. And what's the origin story of ZT Corporate? When did they come to be?
So we started in 97, actually, as a traditional financial firm. So stocks, bonds, 401k, and our CEO actually went through the boom and bust of 2001 financial crisis. It was at that point that we pivoted to, kind of start this organization, private equity, that was non-correlated to the traditional markets and offering investors a unique return and unique investments that they could get into.
Now, when you say healthcare and automotive, can you dig a little further into what verticals you're serving and what sort of?
Sure. So it's really brick and mortar. So we've invested in everything from surgical centers, imaging centers, pharmaceutical. We've done vitamin hospice. Currently, we're the largest owner and operator of freestanding ERs, emergency rooms, in the state of Texas. We own 27 freestanding ERs, 2 micro hospitals, and an urgent care, and we're expanding in that area. And then on the ZT Automotive side, we are in 3 states. We're in Florida, we are in Georgia, and we are in Texas. We own 12 auto brands: Mercedes, BMW, Toyota, Mazda, Ford, and we own and operate these companies. So unlike traditional private equity firms that will, typically play in the middle and invest in certain companies, we will buy these companies outright, and then we have our ownership team operate them.
Yeah, that is a different approach. And other than hopefully making a lot of money for them,
right? Which is the goal.
Which is the goal. What are the most common problems you're solving for your clients?
It's really scalability, especially in the space of the automotive industry. It's very difficult to get into that industry. The barriers of entry are enormous. And actually, most purchasers of brand name auto dealerships are other auto dealerships because the manufacturers like Toyota, Ford, GM, they require you to have experience or partner with somebody with experience. So from celebrities like Mark Wahlberg to George Soros had trouble getting in. So it's not only a factor of money, sure, right? It is, you have to have experience. And so the problems, they face, is a kind of a transition to the next generation, and so there's that heir problem and succession problem. And so if you do have a foot in the door, we can help solve that.
Interesting. It's funny that it's almost like getting a loan from the bank. You have to prove you don't need it to get it. But the idea that you have to have already been experienced as a car dealership to
Yeah.
own a car dealership doesn't make a lot of sense necessarily, right?
Yeah, no, we had to go. We partnered with a very large, prominent general manager to get into the business, and now it's kind of like once you're in the club, you're in the club. It's all about getting your foot in the door. And once it's in the door, you're okay. But it's an extremely stringent process, and it's a very lucrative process as well. And that's why a lot of people want to get into the business, and because it's just not making money on new cars, used cars. I mean, there's a parts department, there's financing, warranties. I mean, the parts department, that's, 10x of what you're making on the margins of selling, new and used cars. And so you have these different avenues of revenue. It's very diversified. I mean, there's a parts business. Sometimes there's a collision center. There's ancillary insurance products, wheel insurance, tire insurance. There's lending, there's financing for vehicles. So it's very multifaceted, very diversified. And so that's why it's very attractive for private equity firms and really anybody to try and get involved.
And other than that foot in the door in the automotive sector, what differentiates you from your competition in the private equity space? What makes you stand out?
I'd say that we're so focused on two industries. A lot are generalists. They'll do it, really any sector. We're experts at everything, and that's just, that's hard to come by. And so again, we focused on healthcare up until 2014. That's all we did was brick and mortar healthcare, surgical centers, imaging, pharmacy, like I talked about. And so we were very good. It was the operational experience we brought to the table, and that we were able to scale companies, obviously return for a high investment, return for our investors, ourselves, and the company. And so it's really our operational team, as cliche as that sounds, but we have a very strong team. And the fact that we focus on just a couple niche areas like healthcare and auto, it's really where our focus is. And we're able to build a good track record around that, a good team around that, understand the business. We're referred about 200 deals a year to give you some perspective. About 30 fit into what we do, and we pick about 2 or 3. It takes us a while to pick the good deals, but we have an amazing track record. I always like to compare us to kind of Michael Jordan. You can't shoot 100% at the free throw line, but you doing 95, 97%, you're doing okay. So we do very well. We know these industries, in and out. It's been a good ride.
You used a term earlier that I'm not familiar with, micro hospital. What's the definition of a micro hospital these days?
It's very, very similar to a freestanding ER.
Okay.
And so, and I don't know, I mean, freestanding ERs, they're only in about 4 states. By state, Texas is the largest with a 50% market share. And think of an urgent care, but larger, more, they have, CAT scans, lab tests. They're able to really do anything except for an overnight surgery, right? So they have a physician on site always, so you're not seeing a PA 24/7. When you go in, you're seen right away. It's very white glove service. Yep. You get your own room, and they can triage really anything. So the only thing they don't have is that ambulatory service, ambulances, and that's cut off from, everything else. But it's very convenient for somebody who, gets up in the middle of the night and they have an emergency. They can go right there instead of driving an hour into the city, or even if they're in the city, the wait times are incredible at hospitals. You don't want to wait 5 hours to be seen. Sure. So you get seen very quickly.
Let's switch gears for a second. What role has content played in the growth of ZT Corporate?
I think that's an area that we can focus more attention on, to be quite honest. We do have, our social media presence. We do have blog posts on our website, albeit they are older blog posts. That is an area where I think we can get more traction, but we've never advertised. We don't market. It's word of mouth. It's really, everything's been word of mouth. We don't work with institutions. We only take private investors, high net worth individuals, high earners. So accredited investors work with us. And so I would say it hasn't played a big role up until this point. Maybe there's been a couple ones or twos, but 99.9% has been word of mouth. It hasn't been from content.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
if you need content, as they say, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Look down the road a year from today. What are some things you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
Well, I think what you just said, I think we could really buff up our presence on, social media, blog posts, getting our name out there a bit more because we do want to grow, right? We have about 2,000 unique clients as of now, and we want to, obviously get to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and that runs out with word of mouth and who people know. And so you need a wider audience to cast that to. So I think through things like YouTube, blog posts, SEO, I think that would help a lot, as well as building up California. So I'm born and raised. I've had clients from San Diego up to San Francisco, and then also out of state. But we are based in Houston. That's where most of our clients are. And so I really want to make a name for ourselves in California.
Please tell us, what's your URL? Where can people find ZT Corporate? And what social media outlets are you using as well?
Yeah, so you can find us at ztcorporate.com. Most information on there. And that's where you'll find most of our blog posts. We also have a LinkedIn. Right. We have Facebook and Instagram, but that's about it. We have a YouTube channel. So you can find me. My personal LinkedIn, just Chris Feia. But that's where you'll find us. I'd say the website's a good place to start.
Excellent. Chris Feia of ZT Corporate, thank you for spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. All the best to you and yours and continued success at ZT Corporate.
Great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Be well.